October 2021 is significant for both the United States and for Iceland because it marks the 35th anniversary of the historic meeting between President Ronald Reagan and General Secretary Michail Gorbachev that took place here in Iceland.
You know, this thing came like a thunder. You know, we were just, Parliament was starting in Iceland, and we were just doing our regular autumn jobs up at the TV station, and suddenly I get a phone call from the Prime Minister's office, what orders his pressman to call me and tell him that I should be aware that something big was brewing. Reagan and Gorbachev are coming away. Boom.
The newsman says, everyone here is very exciting. President Reagan is meeting with Gorbachev in Iceland. And I thought, he can't have said Iceland, it must be Ireland.
This was just a huge event that was not here yet.
This was so big. We were not famous in those days. We didn't get visitors like this.
I know of people that actually loaned their apartments for foreign journalists because we didn't have hotel rooms for all the thousands of people that all of a sudden gathered in this tiny country.
In Reykjavik, everyone was for it. We got everything we asked for.
For Iceland, I think it, like I said, it did put us on the map. I mean, the people knew where Reykjavik was, and and I've had people. I was actually the ambassador driver at the time, and I think the Höfði House was the most popular stop when people visited, to the embassy for the years that while I was driving.
Being a tiny country, not every day in the news in the world. Icelanders found it exciting to be a sort of center of attention.
Like 2,000 press people in Iceland. We were the center of the universe for those 2 days.
Ísland nú fremst í heimsfréttunum eftir að ákveðið var í dag að leiðtogar austurs og vesturs.
Það falla á pláss allt saman að þeir hafi stúdíó þegar þeir vilja fá stúdíó og við þurfum að veita þeim aðgang að okkar fréttum.
Some people were pretty surprised that Iceland was chosen because Iceland is not a neutral territory. Iceland is a member of NATO, has been since the beginning of NATO, and has been firmly on the western side in the Western Alliance since the Second World War.
Well, what do you have to say this morning, Mr. President? Morning. Nothing else?
It was like they were 2 meters away from me, and I felt like this is unreal. I have to pinch myself and say, well, it's like you're in Madame Tussauds. That's with the light and everything. It was, it was unreal, but this was a real thing, and I had to keep my head clear to photograph. When I photographed them outside, we were in a pool. The press was in the pool outside, and Ron Edmonds, my friend from AP, he was teaching me and telling me how to behave, and he was kind of protecting. I was younger than he is, and I had a pass to go inside and outside, and so it was windy, and my pass blew on my back, and suddenly I hear somebody screaming and said, "Rax, take care of your pass." It was Ron putting his camera on another photographer's head because he was stealing my pass to go in, and so I just, he was thrown out of the pool, that guy. It was all shot on film at the time, and you have 36 frames. And Ron told me, when they put the lights on, then you can take pictures. And they put the light on, and then Ron said, keep like 4 or 5 pictures when they shut it out, because sometimes those moments happen. And that's a moment behind me. That's the photograph of them looking at each other. That's a moment that happened when the lights went on. Ron told me, keep few pictures, you have like 30 seconds.
Everybody was excited about what's happening. And then they come, and they go into those meetings in this small little house down by the ocean. And it just goes on, day after day, 2 days. No news, there is no leak. Nobody knows what's happening inside that house.
I think Icelanders liked both of them. Reagan was already like, I felt like he was like my grandfather. He was friendly, smiling, happy, and he kind of made us feel, I think, good about what was going to happen. It felt like it's in good hands, something like that. Thoughts. When we were waiting outside the pool when the summit was starting, and Reagan has already been in the House, and Gorbachev came a little later, and Reagan stepped out. But when Gorbachev was walking up the steps, he just greeted, "Welcome." It was like the PR moment that he started winning, like that. It was like he was the host.
I showed a picture of the doorknob of the Huddy House, probably for 6 or 8 hours, while we were waiting for them to come out. Because the whole world was watching that doorknob. There was nothing else to say. We had nobody to talk to, not our Prime Minister, not our President, not our Foreign Secretary. Nobody knew anything. There were no leaks. It was like nothing was happening inside that house.
It was like going to a movie, and you could not possibly know what the end would be like.
We did not get very many news about how the summit was going. It was evident, though, that things were not progressing very well.
The embassy was packing up the gift, this big book President Reagan was giving Gorbachev, and I sneaked it to a copier and took a copy of the first page, where he had written to General Secretary Gorbachev, with very best regards, sincerely, Ronald Reagan, October 12th, 1986. October 12th was the last day of the summit.
I got a phone call from the deputy head of Soviet television asking me to meet him at midnight before the press conference that Mr. Gorbachev would hold. And I went to the meeting, of course. It was archetypically Soviet in my eyes, at least. Pretty serious and pretty deep voiced. And we had a couple of vodkas at midnight. And he wanted to be absolutely sure that everything would be perfect, that the signal would get to the Soviet Union, would get to the Russian people without any disturbance whatsoever the day after. And then in the end he said, "Mr. Augustsson, if that doesn't happen, I go to Siberia." It was a pretty good joke, I thought at the time. I found it funny because after a tense meeting, he certainly showed himself to be just as human as the rest of us.
The one I remember is get me a little early. I mean, when I met the president, that we had like a photo up in the embassy courtyard after the last day, and he came in and he looked like he was just really tired elderly gentleman. It seemed like he was fairly disappointed that the results had not been what he expected. Was what my feeling was. And then I took a ride out with the motorcade to the base because I had to bring back a vehicle. And I went into the hangar where the president went in. He was talking to the troops because back then it was a U.S. base, and it was just a totally different person. Like they got up on stage. It was just like vibrant, really energetic, and I thought it was really interesting to see the difference that he this ride out for 40 minutes had done to him.
Organizing a summit of this magnitude is a Herculean task for any embassy, but especially a small embassy like the one in Reykjavik, Iceland. We are very proud of our role in organizing this historic summit, and while initially the summit was not viewed as terribly successful, it was later learned that it laid the groundwork for the non-proliferation treaty that was signed the very next year, and for a lasting peace between the United States and the Soviet Union.
Iceland held the summit meeting with a 10 days preparation period, So nobody ever can say it can't be done. It's done in Iceland. So, we were pretty proud of that.
There is a saying in Icelandic, "Þetta reddast," that it will be all right on the night, as the Brits say. No matter if the preparation isn't good enough, when the show goes on, it will work. And in the end, that's what happened.
If you were asked, what is the one thing that sticks out from this summit for you, what would it be?
Looking at the doorknob.